7 Central.
The following program contains adult material. Viewer discretion advised.
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit.
With Barbara Walters. 8 heart-stopping days in Baghdad. 3 war reporters and this American photojournalist. Grabbed from their hotel, locked up in a dreaded Iraqi prison. What went on inside?
They came sort of running down our hall, yelling and screaming in Arabic, and you could hear them, beating somebody.
How was she treated? Why were they finally set free? A Barbara Walters exclusive with Molly Bingham telling the whole story of her captivity. With images she captured along the way. And today's surprise appearances. It looks like it. It sounds like it. Did Saddam Hussein fool the CIA from day one?
They saw Saddam Hussein being carried out on a stretcher, blue in the face, and sucking on an oxygen mask.
Intelligence experts are scanning all the evidence. Could Saddam Hussein still be alive? Calling the shots from a secret hideout.
So we're looking at who's around the table, who sits at his right hand, who's down at the end of the table.
Chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross with the clues to Saddam's fate. Then, a brand new killer, invading America from the Far East. Dozens have died, thousands are sick. Could that happen here? Severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. There are cases cropping up coast to coast. Should you be worried about this virulent virus?
I suspect that it will get worse before it gets better.
Dr. Timothy Johnson with a deadly mystery the world is urgently trying to solve. Plus, he's an ex-Marine on a mission, called on by desperate mothers, grandmothers, schools, to save kids headed for trouble.
You're not grown! I don't want them to grow up to be thugs and robbers and murder or rapists.
Talking tough, drawing tears.
Oh, yeah!
But is it fear that will turn these kids around?
What do you say to the therapists who say, that's child abuse what he's doing?
Chris Cuomo with one man fighting his own war on the streets. 2020 begins in 60 seconds.
Variety is the spice of life, even when you're losing weight.
Shake it up!
So, shake it up with Slim Fast Shakes. Nobody does it like this. To help lose weight without losing out on taste. Slim Fast, America's best-selling weight loss shake.
The all-new 265 horsepower Nissan Maxima.
(2020). And now, Barbara Walters.
Good evening, and welcome to 2020. Well, here we go again. First, it was Osama bin Laden who couldn't be found dead or alive. And now, it's Saddam Hussein who has intelligence analysts guessing. And today, the Iraqi president rubbed it in, appearing in public and on television. Or was it Saddam Hussein? Chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross has the latest on the mystery of Saddam Hussein.
Our destination is Baghdad.
American officials continue to insist that Saddam Hussein's Baghdad nights of Frank Sinatra and Johnny Walker will soon be over.
We will accept nothing less than complete and final victory.
This time, a purported Saddam's speech on Iraqi television. And then, an extraordinary scene, walking through cheering crowds on the streets of Baghdad.
Two questions. Is it him? Apparently it is. And was it recently done? Apparently it was.
Until earlier this year, the man at the White House advising the president on security and counterterrorism was Richard Clark, now an ABC News consultant.
He didn't quite hold up today's newspaper with the date on it, but enough that people will now believe that he's alive and up, walking around, giving orders. Allahu Akbar.
Within moments of its broadcast, this latest Saddam tape was being poured over, back and forth, back and forth.
Doctors looking at it will look for signs of his medical conditions. Is he alert? Is he well? Whatever. Other people will look for different things, what he's saying, his mannerisms. Is there anything we can determine to prove that it is he, or where he is, any signs, any indicators? Different room here.
Right. Judith Yaffe was the CIA's unlikely secret weapon in trying to figure out what Saddam was up to.
Look at the mustache, look at that. No, he's vain. He wouldn't want to appear on camera in his glasses normally. This is someone who dyes his hair. Here's interesting.
Now retired, she was the senior political analyst for the Iraqi desk and part of the CIA team that analyzed every aspect of Saddam, his speeches, his family, his appearance, right down to the two moles on the left side of his face and the shape of his chin.
Everything is important. Every single thing.
Helping to figure out if today's speech really was Saddam or one of his famous body doubles.
I don't think Saddam ever used a double for a talking role. I think he used him for swimming roles or for public appearances where he waves his hand in passing to the people, just the way Saddam does. But speaking is a different thing.
The countdown to what American officials say will be the final days of Saddam began with that massive attack March 19th in Baghdad. On a secret bunker where the U.S. had been told Saddam would be spending the night. Information that supposedly came from two members of Saddam Hussein's inner circle, according to Jim Hoagland, who broke the story for the Washington Post.
The CIA was able to establish contact with and recruit as informants two security officials who are often with Saddam Hussein. And on March 19th, they gave the information to the CIA about where he would be that night.
That's why the war started early, and why reports spread quickly that Saddam had been killed or seriously injured.
They were there, or at least in close proximity, and they saw Saddam Hussein being carried out on a stretcher, blue in the face, and sucking on an oxygen mask.
But if it is Saddam in today's tapes, he looks robust and not at all like someone recently carried out on a stretcher.
It's possible that someone could have been in a deep underground bunker that was hit by two 2,000-pound bombs and survived unscathed. It's hard to imagine, but it's possible.
But today's speech offers clear evidence of Saddam's survival, with a specific reference to the downing of a U.S. Apache helicopter, an event that happened several days after the bunker attack.
He is someone who has, if not perfected, at least mastered the art of survival and knows how to protect himself.
Robert Gates, the director of the CIA from 1991 to 93, and now the president of Texas A&M University, says the big question today is how to find Saddam.
I think that the task of whether they can actually locate him and come up with him, dead or alive, is more complicated probably than most commentators think. Similarly, the problem that we've had in trying to find Osama bin Laden. When you have an individual who has operated in a country for a prolonged period of time, they always figure out ways to have escape routes or ways to try and save their skin. And so I think that the notion that they're just going to drive up and arrest him is pretty fanciful.
U.S. officials have spent the last year gathering intelligence on Saddam's many palaces and bunkers located throughout the country, including one bunker modeled after this one built for the former dictator of Yugoslavia.
When anyone came to see Saddam, including his own family or the most senior officials of his government, he had them all strip searched before they would come in, before he would allow them to come in and see him. And these are the people that were absolutely the closest to him.
It's all made Saddam supremely confident he can survive anything, according to his former mistress, Harasula Lamsos.
He never loses. He always thinks that he will win.
And this was his favorite palace here?
The former mistress showed ABC's Claire Shipman last year the location of a palace on the outskirts of Baghdad, where she said Saddam might try to hide now.
Here,
this is the biggest.
The Buhaira Tartar.
Yesterday, U.S. Special Forces raided that very palace, but there was no sign of Saddam, and the hunt continues.
There'll have to be a real search. He'll probably be looking for a way to get out of the country or find a way to hide in some remote part of the country. I think also it's important to keep in mind that, at least as far as I'm concerned, the primary target is not just Saddam, but his two sons. I think we need a hat trick. We need all three of those people either in custody or dead in terms of the future of Iraq.
Saddam made it clear today that it's not going to be easy, taunting the U.S. and urging the people of Baghdad to rise up and fight the enemy.
Trust in God, the Almighty and the Powerful, and resist them, you people of Baghdad.
And is Saddam Hussein prepared to sacrifice his beloved Baghdad?
I think so. I don't think he's someone who runs. He sees himself as Iraq. Iraq is Saddam, Saddam is Iraq. That's why I think he's there, and he will stay there.
Okay, Brian, so are we absolutely convinced that this is Saddam Hussein?
Well, Barbara, U.S. officials told us tonight that they are all but certain it is Saddam Hussein, both in the speech and walking around in the streets. The only question they have, Barbara, is when the tapes were actually made. For example, he's all bundled up in the shots, and it was 95 degrees today in Baghdad.
Well, you know, Osama bin Laden has all those caves where he could hide, but where could Saddam Hussein hide in a country that we'll be occupying?
Well, the urban landscape can be just as treacherous and offer just as many places to hide. Lots of basements and apartments. And don't forget, when we went after General Noriega in Panama, it took several weeks to track him down, and there were even more soldiers looking for him then. So this is a serious problem tonight for U.S. commanders.
Well, does this mean that Saddam Hussein could live for years in that country?
They're concerned that could be one of his strategies, to go underground essentially and to wait to try to regroup. And that is, as I say, a very serious concern for American commanders tonight.
One can certainly understand why. Thank you, Brian. We'll be right back.
When 2020 returns,
I said to them repeatedly, I do not work for my government. I do not work for any government. I have no military training.
You must have been terribly scared.
Next.
Starting a small business takes a burning entrepreneurial spirit, a singular bold vision, the courage to fight an endless uphill battle. But that's not all you need. Oh no.
We need some furniture.
Not to mention the tools to manage your cash flow. That's why you need the Visa business card, because Jules Seltzer Furniture, like many other places, doesn't accept any card from American Express.
I love these chairs.
Visa Business, it's everywhere you want to be. Get started at visa.com.
Nothing has changed. Everything has changed. The all-new 265 horsepower Nissan Maxima.
Hey, check these out. New boneless wings. They're a best of both worlds combination of premium chicken breasts with all the fun and flavor of wings.
These are gonna be huge.
They're top secret, so don't tell anyone.
Who would I tell?
Introducing KFC boneless wings. Tender white breast meat glazed with our own honey barbecue sauce. Get 7 pieces for $2.99 or 20 pieces for just $7.99.
Wow! I bet the folks at KFC are so excited.
Jules, they couldn't wait to get the word out.
Don't you love to set for Martha Stewart every day?
Yes.
got it at Kmart.
This is beautiful. I love the details. Glass, the etching.
And the Lindsay Susan.
That I love. This is the best outdoor table.
These chairs are really comfortable.
I brought some more dessert.
And I brought the dogs.
The patio's my new favorite room.
Make your backyard easy to enjoy with Martha Stewart Everyday Garden Furniture, only at Kmart.
War with Iraq. Sunday mornings, the people at the center of it all come straight to this week. The Secretary of State, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense, and this Sunday, the military's top-ranking Marine makes news on This Week.
Sunday, it's a new dragnet. Joe Friday teams up with a special agent to solve a new crime that has a dirty little twist.
She slept with 3 different men the same night.
This pornographer, he must have killed her.
The shocking truth could make this case one cop's last.
I may be in the wrong business.
A new dragnet, ABC Sunday, 10/9 Central after Alias.
Tuesday, after John Ritter's co-workers dump on him, he'll learn how to get revenge from the master.
I knew you would come, Father.
A new 8 simple rules. Then, how is Jim's wife discovering his dirty little secrets?
What a delicious little twist to our story.
A new According to Jim, part of a full hour. Then, the LA Times calls the new hit comedy Lost at Home touching, a sweet sitcom.
What can I do to make your day a little easier?
Oh my God, here come tears.
It all starts 8/7 Central, ABC Tuesday.
2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
What is it like for an American to be locked up right now in an Iraqi prison, especially an American woman? 34-year-old photojournalist Molly Bingham knows firsthand. For more than a week, she was missing in Baghdad, along with 3 other Western journalists. And then, 3 days ago, as suddenly as they were grabbed, all 4 were released near the Jordanian border. Earlier today, I sat down with a very relieved Molly Bingham, who just arrived back in the States, and for the first time, she shares the full account of her ordeal.
An American journalist who was
the story broke 11 days ago.
Photographer is missing in Iraq.
4 Western journalists had simply disappeared in Baghdad. The Iraqis offered no explanation and no assistance in finding them. The missing group was later identified as a photographer and correspondent from Newsday, a freelance Danish photojournalist, and 34-year-old Molly Bingham.
I arrived in Baghdad around midday on March 18th.
She had come to Iraq on assignment for the World Picture News photo agency a few days before the bombs started falling. The problem was that she entered the country on a tourist visa, not as an accredited journalist. This may have caused suspicion among the Iraqi officials. Molly's ordeal began when 6 armed men confronted her in the Palestine Hotel in Baghdad.
The only guy in a military uniform came back and said, you know, you're going to come with us. And, you know, I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand what the problem is. And he said, well, we just have some questions for you. This is just you know, it's a small thing. Don't worry about it. Just come with us. We're going to take you for a few hours to a very safe place, and you'll be back tomorrow morning. And I said, no, I really, you know, I'd like to stay here. I think you can understand that I'm a woman, and going in the middle of the night with a group of armed men fills me with apprehension. They basically sort of closed in on me, and the gentleman in the uniform got very angry and was yelling at me and saying, you know, you have to come with us and you don't have any choice. So I said, okay, fine, you know, we'll go.
So they took you downstairs and they put you in a car with a driver, yeah?
And we drove for a little while. His English was actually quite good, and you know, he said, "You scared?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I'm scared." And he said, "Oh, don't worry, we're taking you to a very, very safe place, and you know, we'll have a surprise for you. Maybe a good surprise, maybe a bad surprise. I don't know." We drove for about 40 minutes, and when we arrived, we clearly arrived at what seemed to be a military complex at first, and then I realized as we got inside that it was a prison.
The 4 journalists were locked up in separate cells in the most dreaded place in all of Baghdad, Abu Ghraib, the largest prison in the Arab world. These pictures, taken after Saddam Hussein released thousands of prisoners last fall, provide a rare look at the conditions. You must have been terribly scared. Did you think that you were going to be tortured or killed?
Yeah, you know, I was blindfolded and taken out for my questioning. I mean, I thought maybe that first night it took me that they were taking me out and they were going to get me to kneel and kill me. I mean, and I didn't know. And I ended up in a room with a carpet with my questioners in front of me, and my blindfold was taken off, and they started asking me questions. They said, we know you're a spy, and we want you to tell us about your connections to the Central Intelligence Agency. We want you to tell us about your connections to the Pentagon. We know that you're a spy, so you should just be honest with us and tell us the truth. And I said to them, I have no problems telling you the truth. I have nothing to hide. I am an independent journalist. I'm a photographer. And I've won awards, and I can show you my photographs.
Photojournalism is in Molly's blood. She was born into a prominent newspaper publishing family. She grew up here in a suburb of Louisville, Kentucky, a privileged world far removed from the hard realities of war. Molly first experienced war at just 25 years old in Rwanda, Africa, where she documented refugees fleeing from a vicious civil conflict. Her photo essays showed human suffering. A funeral in Gaza, the drug trade in Iran, the recent war in Afghanistan. Molly was the official photographer on Al Gore's presidential campaign. She won the Picture of the Year award for capturing this image of Gore on the night he conceded the presidency. Molly was in Baghdad just a few days, long enough to snap these images, before she was arrested and imprisoned. Where did you sleep? What were the conditions like?
I had my own cell that was about probably 12 feet by 6 feet with a concrete floor and a small window. The bottom part of it had this little vent that curved out to the side, so I could sort of actually peek out, and there was a little ficus tree there, and I thought, oh, there's my little tree. And I would sit on the floor in a way that I could just sort of see my little tree and sort of think that there was a world outside. They treated us humanely in that we were fed and we were allowed to go to the toilet. I was allowed to bathe. But
shower?
A bucket, which I'm familiar with. I've bathed from a bucket many times. But, you know, it was nice to be able to get clean.
All this time, you were not allowed to talk to the Red Cross, you were not allowed to call any officials, you were not allowed to talk to your family.
I was not allowed to talk to anyone in the prison other than my interrogators. Yeah. There were other prisoners across the hall from us, and we had no idea who they were, and certainly any of them, if we had tried to talk, could have fingered us to get credit, to get some bonus points with their prison guards and turn us in.
Did you hear screams?
Yeah, there was one night, I think the third night, when one of the prisoners on our cell block, there was this scuffling and ruckus. They came sort of running down our hall, yelling and screaming in Arabic and very aggressively, and you could hear them, you know, beating somebody. Someone sort of came in and stopped them and took them away, but this man, for an hour or more, you could hear him sort of whimpering and sighing. I didn't see who it was when they were beating him. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to be seen to be seeing. But, you know, I could see the next day the bottoms of his feet were bloody and he was in, you know, bad shape.
Molly, were you terrified?
There were times when I was really scared, yeah.
What did you tell yourself?
It was a moment-by-moment thing, and, you know, sort of alternating between, I don't know what they're going to do next. They could do anything. They could take me and torture me. They could take me and shoot me. They could take me and rape me. They could take me and give me another cup of tea. Yeah. And, you know, I had to take some faith in the fact that they were treating us fairly well, humanely, as far as giving us food, giving us water. And I kept telling myself, you know, if they were just going to kill us, they wouldn't probably take such, you know, good care of us.
Could you hear the bombs falling in Baghdad?
There were everyday fighter jets flying directly over our compound, and you could hear them fly over, and then several minutes later you would hear 2 explosions, and then they'd come back.
On the 7th day in prison, the interrogators came again. What did they say to you then?
They came to my cell first, which seemed to be their habit, and they blindfolded me again. They took me to the place where we had checked in, and one of the interrogators said, "The judge has made a decision, you kill." And I thought, well, okay, either he's accusing me of being military and having killed, or I think probably more likely what he's telling me is that I'm going to be killed. And I looked at him and I just sort of said, well, that's not true. And then there's sort of a little curl on his lip, and I realized that he was just screwing with my mind. And he said, no problem, we will give you your things. It's time for you to go.
Just as mysteriously as the group had disappeared, Molly and the other journalists showed up on the border to Jordan 3 days ago.
How does it feel to be out?
The ordeal was over.
Have a good sleep and see you tomorrow.
Iraqi officials never explained why they arrested the group or why they were freed.
Thank you.
Do you know what your father said when he heard that you were safe?
No, I don't.
He said that he hoped you would now become a fashion photographer.
I think he knows that's unlikely.
We're very glad you're home safe.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. It's really nice. Thank you.
Count Molly Bingham is one very lucky woman. Since the war began 2 weeks ago, 5 journalists have been killed. The latest last night when Michael Kelly, editor-at-large of Atlantic Monthly magazine, became the first American reporter to die. An Army soldier as yet unidentified drowned with him when their Humvee went into a canal. Kelly, who was 46 years old, worked here at ABC News in his early career. Our thoughts are with his wife and his 2 young children.
When 2020 returns, should you be covering up? Protecting yourself against the deadly new virus, SARS, already infecting people across the country. How can you be safe while they hunt for a cure? Dr. Timothy Johnson finds out next.
Get water as active as you. Propel Fitness Water with flavor to hydrate and vitamins to nourish. It's how Gatorade does water. Propel.
It's all new, and it's as colorful as the world around you. Introducing the Color Solution Center only at the Home Depot. It's more than a store. It's a new and easier way to match or find a complement for any color you can imagine. It's Ralph Lauren, Behr, Glidden, and Disney in the largest paint color palette in America. Come see the brand new Color Solution Center only at the Home Depot. You can do it. We can help.
Live on TV and execution?
A reality television show. How to blow up a network president.
The firm's unstable client wants it to happen. You're out of your mind. How far will a network go for ratings?
I might have to sex it up a little.
You'll have to tune in.
She has a cannon. Boom!
Andy McDowell guest stars.
It gets crazier.
In the episode everyone will be talking about.
The world has gone mad.
An all-new Practice, ABC Monday, 9/8 Central.
Let's get back to the entertainment.
This workaholic dad is trying to reconnect with his family.
Hey, Will, where's Mom? Where's Mom? That's hilarious.
He's just not sure how.
What can I do to make your day a little easier?
What?
If Rachel gives you something to do and you do it right, do you know what you get? More stuff to do.
The hit comedy Lost at Home after an hour of According to Jim, ABC Tuesday.
This is an ABC News War with Iraq update. Once again, Barbara Walters.
Now for the latest developments in the war. As we saw earlier in the program, Arab television networks today showed this extraordinary scene. What appears to be Saddam Hussein walking among adoring crowds in the streets of Baghdad. Earlier in the day, Iraqi television showed him commenting on developments in the war. On the battlefield, American forces are slowly surrounding Baghdad and trying to seal off the city. The U.S. now controls Iraq's main airport west of Baghdad, and Marines have been in an ugly firefight with Iraqi troops at the city's edges. The family of Jessica Lynch heads for Germany tomorrow, where they will visit the young soldier just rescued from the Iraqis. ABC's Martha Raddatz has the story of an Iraqi lawyer who risked his life to save her.
It's a remarkable story. A man who is being identified only as Muhammad went to visit his wife in an Iraqi hospital, Nasiriyah. His wife is a nurse there. He noticed a large contingent of Iraqi agents, and he asked what was going on. A doctor friend said an American soldier is being held hostage. Muhammad later went to Jessica Lynch's room and vowed to help her. He then walked 6 miles to a Marine Corps encampment. He told them what was happening, and days later, she was rescued.
2020 will continue in a moment.
This is an ABC 7 News Brief. Now here's Kathy Brock.
Good evening. Is Saddam Hussein alive? That question being debated tonight as coalition forces press on toward Baghdad. Lightning sets a house on fire as strong storms move through our area. Mike Kaplan has the weekend forecast. Sammy Sosa making history tonight. We'll have highlights. And James Ward takes us to a place where comfort food is king on Chicago's Near West Side. Join Ron Majors and me tonight for the news at 10.
The best combination of brands and prices in town just got better. Carson's Days, our biggest sale of the season. Now through April 14th. Carson's.
They're crazy for crawfish at the Popeyes Cajun Chicken Festival.
I love the Seuss, but the two of you, I mean, you should be committed.
Don't make fun of us.
Oh, that steams me.
Easy, easy.
Now at Popeyes, get a big basket of delicious crawfish, seasoned with Cajun spices and cooked to perfection. Served with fries, dipping sauce, and a warm buttermilk biscuit. A great crawfish meal for only $3.99. How about 5 pieces of Popeyes Cajun chicken for $3.99? Or 9 pieces, spicy or mild, for only $6.99.
Oh, won't you stay? Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer? Won't you stay? Please say that you will. Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer?
Call 1-800-432-TRIP or visit travelwisconsin.com.
Vin Diesel's latest next, Ebert and Roper. Saturday night at 10:35.
Viewer discretion advised.
'20 continues. Here again, Barbara Walters.
A deadly virus has hitched its way into this country aboard airlines coming from the Far East. Today, President Bush signed an executive order allowing the forced quarantine of anyone suspected of carrying SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. The virus has already killed 84 people worldwide, including 7 in Canada. In this country, 115 people are infected in 29 states, but no one has died. So, is SARS something that you should worry about? What can be done? Our own Dr. Timothy Johnson is beginning to get alarmed.
It's a frightening medical mystery, a new disease, and it's sweeping across borders. We've already seen it cause tremendous panic in Asia. Hong Kong has been particularly hard hit. These American students were sent back home this week when their school in Hong Kong was shut down due to SARS.
The whole campus is evacuated, all the students are gone. I'm probably going to go to either a doctor or a hospital right now to get checked out.
2 weeks ago, I would have thought that this level of anxiety was unwarranted. But now, after talking to some leading scientists, I am much more concerned about the potential danger that SARS might pose someday for all of us. SARS emerged just 5 months ago in a remote province in China. How could it spread so widely and quickly? Experts believe one doctor treating patients in China caught SARS, traveled to Hong Kong, stayed in the Metropole Hotel, infected other guests, and set off a deadly chain reaction worldwide, including a major outbreak in Toronto. That's because one of the guests in the Hong Kong hotel was a Canadian woman visiting relatives. When she returned to Toronto, she felt sick. Within days, she was dead. And before long, other family members started to get the telltale SARS symptoms.
These symptoms can include a fever of 100.4 or higher, a dry cough, headaches, fatigue, and shortness of breath. There is yet no diagnostic test or specific treatment for SARS.
Dr. Andrew Seymour, an infectious disease expert, is in the trenches fighting Toronto's SARS outbreak.
My guess is we have not peaked. I suspect that it will get worse before it gets better.
The outbreak has already closed 2 Toronto hospitals, and in Dr. Seymour's hospital, all workers are required to put on masks, answer health questions, and have their temperatures taken with an ear thermometer before they can go on their shifts. The outbreak has gripped Toronto in other ways, too. In Chinatown, business is reported down, with tourists avoiding shopping and dining. This pharmacist told us he was selling 50 masks a day. Even doctors are scared. An international cancer conference in Toronto was just called off. The cost to the city, $15 to $20 million. But while experts can track the spread of SARS, they can't say yet for sure what's causing it.
So, explain these pictures to me.
The latest research points strongly to this culprit, a coronavirus, so-called because of its crown-like appearance. Dr. Kenneth McIntosh, an infectious disease specialist at Boston's Children's Hospital and Harvard, helped discover the coronavirus back in the 1960s. He says normally it's harmless in humans, causing nothing worse than the common cold. But he suspects that this is a new coronavirus. It may have started out in China in an animal, then jumped to humans, making it far more dangerous.
On a scale of 1 to 10, down in your bones, what does this one say to you in terms of danger?
I am frankly quite concerned.
So I'm going to push you on a scale of 1 to 10, just roughly.
I'm somewhere 7 or 8.
His major concern is that coronaviruses can be easily spread, including by coughing and sneezing.
You don't think that the measures now being used, infection control, isolation, and when necessary quarantine, can ultimately sort of stop this completely?
The answer to that is I do not think so.
If you were a betting man, as you like to put it, what would you bet on?
My bet is that it's going to spread.
Clearly, Tommy Thompson, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, is also worried. I interviewed him this afternoon in the department's command center set up to track diseases like SARS. I told him about my interview with Dr. McIntosh.
How concerned are you? How concerned should we be?
I am very concerned, Dr. Johnson, and I think everybody should be.
So far, the death rate for this disease is about 3%. If it turns out to be like the flu, we've got a big problem.
We're figuring SARS right now is about 4%, so that is very high. And if it does come back and becomes very infectious, we have a serious problem across the world, not only in America.
In other words, if SARS ever becomes as common as influenza, it too could kill hundreds of thousands of people worldwide every year.
Tim, I've really heard you, seen you so concerned. Now, SARS has similar symptoms as the flu. So if you've got a temperature, if you're coughing, how do you know if you have the flu, which a lot of people, especially the elderly, have, or SARS?
It's a tough question, especially in the early stages when the symptoms can be quite similar. So far, one of the keys, of course, is the travel history of the person. If they have traveled to affected areas or been exposed to someone who has, that's a major clue they might be dealing with SARS. There may be some different patterns on X-ray, but what we desperately need is a diagnostic test, and scientists are working on that feverishly.
You talk about getting it from sneezing or coughing, but can you get it from touching something, touching an elevator?
So far, it appears that the vast majority of people who've contracted SARS have done so because of close contact with somebody who is coughing or sneezing. However, this family of viruses, the corona family of viruses, we know can exist sometimes for several hours on surfaces, and so we're worried about that possibility, and it's being investigated.
Now, so far, there are fortunately no deaths in this country. Why? Why are we doing better than, let's say, Canada?
We don't have easy answers to that yet. We do know that in this country we were very alert to possible symptoms, and we examined people and caught people early on. We also think that we have good supportive treatment for people who might have SARS. There is also a suggestion by some of the scientists, including Dr. McIntosh, that Asian people may have an increased genetic susceptibility to the disease, which is why we may be seeing more deaths in Asia than no deaths in this country so far.
Tim, what about a possible vaccine?
Well, there are three things we'd like. One would be a diagnostic test, one would be antiviral drugs, and most importantly, a vaccine. Scientists are working on all of them. I think we may well have a vaccine within a year, but remember, we have a good vaccine for the flu, and yet flu comes back to haunt us every year, causes hundreds of thousands of deaths every year, so we've got a real worry on our hands.
But if it is caught in time, it's treatable?
In many cases it is, with good supportive treatment of the kind that we have readily available in this country. Obviously in less developed countries, that's more problematic. But a big answer would be a vaccine, and I'm hopeful we will have one within about a year, as I said.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for this report. We'll be right back.
When 2020 returns,
Why are you fighting? Curse your parents!
kids headed for trouble finally meet their match.
Major P-A-I-N. I'm trying to save these children from what I've been through.
But does he go too far? Next.
Nobody delivers expert Motorcraft brake service in 2 hours or less like your participating Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury dealership. Or we'll give you a free oil change. Plus, enter to win trips to the Caribbean or to the world premiere of the hot new movie Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Nobody can do auto service like we do.
Do you know about the purple pill called Nexium?
I know.
I know.
You should know about it too. Talk to your doctor about whether Nexium is right for you.
Find out about the purple pill called Nexium.
How long have you been coloring your hair?
Wow. Now there's a question.
I have very fine color treated hair.
Yes, unfortunately, this is not my natural color anymore.
My hair goes flat really easily.
Icky. Let's use the technical term, yeah.
Icky.
Get icky.
Dove definitely has started something.
Yay! It builds the hair as opposed to leaving it heavy.
It's not weighed down, it really picks up the color.
If your hair looks good, then you can kind of get away with the other stuff.
The Dove shampoo and the conditioner, it was a huge change.
It just feels really nice.
This little tip is going to make a big difference for denture wearers.
It's Polygrip's Ooze Control Tip. Unlike other tips, it spreads a flat ribbon for less ooze.
I get all the hold without all the ooze.
Super Polygrip for less ooze. It's big news.
With RE/MAX, you expect service that's a little out of the ordinary. So when you need help buying or selling a home, call RE/MAX and watch us spring into action. RE/MAX, outstanding agents, outstanding results.
In times like these, the three most important words in late night are
Tonight on Nightline.
And tonight, Ted Koppel on the front lines with the advancing 3rd Infantry Division.
And we all have questions about the war. What you see can be confusing, hard to understand. Saturday, in a special edition, Good Morning America takes your questions and gives you the answers you need. Plus, live reports from the front lines. Saturday.
Tuesday at 10, 9 Central, the wait is over. Blue returns with a bang.
Gone!
Oh my God. All new episodes.
Be straight with me. You don't love me anymore.
This is the season legends are made of.
All she saw was us standing over the kid with guns in our hands. Don't do a thing till you hear from me.
All new Blue, ABC Tuesday, 10, 9 Central. Viewer discretion advised.
Academy Award-winning director James Cameron is about to change the way you watch movies forever with a 3D real-life journey back to the Titanic. On April 11th, prepare for an unscripted, groundbreaking, historic motion picture event. Ghosts of the Abyss, an immersive 3D adventure. Rated G. Advance tickets now on sale. Call 1-888-DISNEY-6.
Designed by amateurs,
built by volunteers, piloted by the incredibly brave. Red Bull Flugtag. To enter your human-powered flying machine, visit redbullflugtagchicago.com.
If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again. Because right now you can get 0% financing for 60 months or $3,000 to $4,000 cash back on some of America's best-selling vehicles. That's 0 for 60 or $3,000 to $4,000 on Explorer, Explorer Sport, Expedition, Taurus, Ranger, F-150, and Windstar. 0 for 60 or $3,000 to $4,000 cash back on some of Ford's best-selling cars, trucks, and sport utilities. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
He's the man some mothers turn to when all else fails. He makes kids cry, he humiliates them, he degrades them. So why would any woman put her child into his hands? Because he can help to save them. Chris Cuomo has the story of a man called Major Payne. Is his brand of discipline just what a troublesome child needs? Well, not everyone thinks so.
Major! Hey! Major! Hey! Major! Hey! Major! Hey! Major, P-A-I-N, pain. Hey! Because that it symbolized the pain that I went through in my lifetime. That symbolized the pain that these children go through, living without a father, going hungry, no shoes, no role model, nobody to look up to.
Major pain doesn't stand for the pain you inflict on the kids you're trying to help?
No. No. I do house calls. I will come to your house. I will snatch you up out your bed. I will make you cry.
His name is Tyrone Lamar, a.k.a. Sergeant Lamar, a.k.a. Major Payne. He's neither sergeant nor major, but an ex-Marine PFC who's waging a one-man war against youth violence.
Son, you're going to change.
His battlefield? The projects and impoverished areas of Miami. Classic urban poverty. High crime, mostly minorities, mostly single-parent families, too many with young sons crossing the line between right and wrong. Young mothers are looking for help, and they say the only place they find it is in the cartoonish form of this superhero of sorts, Major Payne.
That's right, I sweat and I spit, because drill sergeants sweat and they spit. But I save your life.
He admits he's no therapist. In fact, Lamar says his only training is his life experience, growing up here in poverty with an abusive father and a few brushes with the law, an education he refers to as street university.
I've been there. I'm trying to save these children from what I've been through.
Lamar says his inspiration came from his job at a funeral home, witnessing victim after young victim who had fallen prey to the streets. One day, he saw a face that would change his life, a young girl who had been raped and died of AIDS.
I stood in front of that girl casket and I couldn't stand it. I thought about my 6-year-old daughter. And I broke down and I said, somebody got to do something to help these children. Let me see that football.
Lamar decided that somebody was him. He would appeal to kids on a level they understood, street respect. He created a character.
Come on, bro. Always looking for bad children.
A dominating disciplinarian.
You'll be good for the rest of your life? Guess what? I don't believe you.
Part street thug for fear, part drill sergeant for respect. Add a uniform of mixed military garb, and Major Payne was born. Soon, calls for his help became overwhelming.
Hello, go get her and bring her. I will tighten up. Right about now, I'm not too happy with you.
Here's a typical scenario. This grandmother and guardian to 11-year-old Lyfrin and 13-year-old Latrey Bell says her boys have admitted to shoplifting from local stores, but they reject her discipline.
What happens when you tell your grandsons not to do it and you try the traditional types of punishment?
Just like the oldest one, he'll laugh and throw us a joke. Everything seemed to be a joke.
More and more, they stay away from home, and Grandma fears she's losing control. Not knowing where to turn, she heard about Major Payne and says he may be her last hope.
In my lifetime, I've given out over 5 million push-ups. Before I leave here, I'm going to give out 5 million more, and guess what? You two juveniles are going to make up 4,000 of them. Starting today. Starting today. Down. Up.
Major Payne may be mostly an act, But the boy's fear is real. As difficult as it is to see her grandchildren scared, Grandma says it's the first time she's seen them pay attention.
Down!
They look pretty scared.
They need it.
Is it tough for you because you want them to get disciplined, but you love your babies?
Yes, I love them, but they need it. They need it. Because I don't want them to end up in jail. I love them.
Oh, yeah!
The tactics are harsh, but Major Payne says he's not trying to be abusive, just dealing with street kids in a way they understand. If you went to these kids and put your arm around them and said, hey, do better, everything will be fine, you think it would work as well as what you do?
But if I was to go to one of these kids, now listen, little Johnny, I want you to listen to your mother. Okay, my name is Major Payne. And you'll be a nice little kid. He's gonna look at me and say, where's this wimp come from? He's worse than my mom.
Lamar is married with a son in college and a 6-year-old daughter. He lives off a small injury settlement, and though he will charge a fee for his services if a parent can afford it, for the most part, they can't. So he tries to help for free.
I believe in trying to help these kids before they cross the line with the authorities. That is what I'm trying to save them from. I don't want them to go to jail. I don't want them to grow up to be thugs and robbers and murder or rapists.
And in fact, while there are youth services available for kids who've been in trouble with the law, there's almost nothing available in the way of so-called front-end programs to help young kids before they get into trouble. A need Lamar is trying to fill at schools like Brentwood Elementary. The first order of business is to build character and self-respect, and to give these kids some hope.
Get that stomach in, you're gonna be our next football player. You might be the next mayor of Miami. You may be the next principal of Brentwood Elementary. Make good grades, A's and B's, that's the only thing that is acceptable. Look at that, oh, here's a safety patrol. My God, you should be so proud of yourself. I went to school 12 years, I never made to be a safety patrol.
Principal Samuel Stimson welcomes him with open arms.
Only reaction I've received is positive. I haven't received any negative reaction.
And this is, oh my God, this is Mr. Stephen.
Third grader Stephen was having severe problems with authority in and out of school.
Before, I saw Steve almost every day. And when Steve became Steve, he didn't listen to anyone, not even the police. But now he listens to the sergeant.
When Major Payne has worked with him, that's about what then? Company, attention. Present arms. Order, arms.
In just 3 weeks of working with Lamar, the principal says Stephen has done an about-face. The major says he's learning as he goes, trying to find ways to reach these kids, be it with love, like at Brentwood, where he's agreed not to get physical with any of the children, or with tough love, like at his boot camp at a local flea market.
You gonna steal them up from your grandmother? Now why are you fighting cursing your parents? You like to steal, right?
It's a methodology that the therapeutic community rejects.
So here he is in this room full of people, and you saw his face. He's not enjoying this. I'm not reading, oh boy, I better never misbehave again.
We asked psychologist Patricia Jordan to look at Lamar's approach.
And those feelings are more likely to contribute to his maladaptive functioning and development than it is to stop him from stealing something.
While she respects Lamar's efforts, Jordan says that kids with deep problems can't simply be scared straight.
That serious behavior we're talking about has to be analyzed and looked at and worked on over time, as opposed to some quick fix Band-Aid type scare them into shape feature. That's just too simple for a very complex problem.
What do you say to the therapists who say, that's child abuse what he's doing? That doesn't help. The pat on the back, the attention from a male role model, that's good, but that other stuff, that's child abuse.
You know what I say? I don't see not one therapeutic doctor, not one social worker, not one psychiatrist or psychologist living Car Gables over there with our poor children. And these kids are poor.
So you're the best they got?
I'm the best that I try to be. I try to help people.
But some cases are way beyond his skills.
Then why you in your mother?
Prone to screaming and tantrums, 8-year-old Christopher has been diagnosed with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. He's being treated professionally, but his mother still sought out Major Payne.
Hug her and tell her how much you love her.
Just hours later, Christopher's mother says he started hitting her again.
If you have a child who has a real disorder, a diagnosable problem, this is not for them.
This is not for any children, but the shame of it is that a parent with a child with such a disorder, or a parent of any child, feels compelled to reach out to major pain, as you call them, because they don't feel they have any other alternatives.
And that may be the bigger point here. The shame's not so much Major Payne's methods, but that for people in communities like this, he is the best option available.
You owe me 1,940 more.
The fact that people are seeking out Major Payne, proof that despite all the information and time that's gone by, the communities are still underserved, still neglected. These people still feel they have nowhere to turn.
That's quite a statement, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. For whatever reasons, they feel they have nowhere to turn, and that definitely is one of the many things that has to be addressed.
One call from Major Payne in particular seems to sum up the situation. This young, distraught mother sought out Major Payne for her 4-year-old son. He had threatened to kill his teacher with a gun, just 4 years old.
You're not gonna never do that again, right? Give your mommy a hug and tell her how much you love her. Your mommy wants you home with her and not in somebody's jail, okay?
The boy never had a gun, but Major Payne gave him some attention and his mother some much-needed comfort.
When you think about Tyrone Lamar, Major Payne, ultimately, is he a good guy or a bad guy?
He's a good guy. Tyrone Lamar is a good guy. He's a good guy who could use some direction, but I applaud his goodwill.
5 years from now.
5 years from now, I would really hope that there would be something that would say Major Payne tried to help the poor people of America.
An army of one working without money, fighting a different kind of war.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Brock.
And I'm Ron Majors. Next, the evidence that may prove Saddam is still alive, plus troops close in on Baghdad. And Mike Kaplan has a look ahead to the weekend weather.
And Sammy Sosa's historic hit.
And a high fly ball built in from center field.
Got a $50 bid, can I get a 55? Ooh, give me 55, come on, I'll give you 55. I got a 125, give me 125. Come on, I'll give you 125. I need a 125.
I've always talked fast and loved antiques. Then I got sick and I had to go on chemo. Doctor told me I might become anemic, maybe feel weak, but it slowed me right down. For the first time in 30 years, I was too tired to work.
Time to go, Charlie.
I had to get my strength back. I asked my doctor about Procrit.
Procrit is for chemotherapy-related anemia in patients with most kinds of cancer. If you're on chemo and too tired to do the things you used to do, talk to your doctor about Procrit. Procrit helps rebuild red blood cells, and more red blood cells can mean more strength.
It's good to see you, Charlie.
Good to be back.
Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo.
Okay, folks. Let's go.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need. Your strength for living.
Yep, I got 2 speeds. Fast and faster.
Has anybody checked the interior?
Some of the finest leather I've ever seen.
Premium leather?
Rear seat DVD entertainment system.
Entertainment system?
And navigation.
Power rear door.
11 speaker Mark Levinson audio.
Mark Levinson audio.
It's a camera. It's a rear view camera.
Introducing the entirely new Lexus RX 330. Putting the world on notice again.
2020. Once again, Barbara Walters.
Well, that's our program for tonight, and we thank you for joining us. For the latest on the war, tune in to Nightline after your local news and abcnews.com anytime. I'm Barbara Walters. For all of us here at 2020, have a good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News.
War with Iraq. Stay with Peter Jennings and the people of ABC News for breaking developments. Morning, throughout the day, evening, late night. ABC News, always there when it matters most. Turn to ABC News.